It's not bad for episode 105 of the Stratosphere Lounge. Sorry about the gruesome and depressing beginning, but we live in gruesome and depressing times. And sometimes just coming out and say it really helps, you know. It's nice to know you're not alone out there watching the destruction of everything we hold dear, but it ain't over till it's over, and there's something to be said for. This is the hopeful note for the night. As things get worse, more and more people wake up, and there are signs, very convincing signs, that not just America but the entire West is starting to realize that this whole thing is an illusion. And if we do have a theory that we've never had, if we have an RK theory and this other theory is biohistory theory, we'll be the first society in history to face this crisis of civilizational collapse with science in hand, with a plan. And frankly, if RK and biohistory were taught in schools, we very possibly could solve the problem because we'd be aware of the problem. You know, we would tolerate zero messing around in certain areas that we knew were going to be catastrophic for us. But ultimately, it's the prosperity and the wealth. And I like prosperity and wealth. It's just too much of it gives a lot of people the impression that there's endless prosperity and wealth, and that's not true. And finally, the thing that he talked about the Victorians quite a lot. And he said, this is Penman, I think his name was, the doctor who wrote the biohistory book that's on its way from Amazon right now. He basically said that the Victorians were actually pretty compassionate people because there was no safety net at all, and there were large numbers of charities, Christian charities, mostly church charities. But this is the thing I thought was really interesting. He said that the Victorians had a profoundly discriminating sense of the what's the word? I got to get this word right. The deserving poor. They knew the difference between the deserving poor and the undeserving poor, and the deserving poor might be a poor widow, a woman who's single and has 7 kids to feed, and she just can't cope. Well, she's the benefit. She becomes the beneficiary of charity given to her because she's the deserving poor. She didn't do anything. She didn't make any choices. That's what the Victorians were very clear on, and this is where we lose our way. This hypothetical woman whose husband was killed in a mine accident, let's say, it's not her fault that he was killed in a mine accident. She married him at an early age. She's been a good church-going person, and she's, she's raised these kids and done her very best, and she can't help these misfortunes that befell her, so she would become a beneficiary of this charity, and there was no opprobrium on this at all. There was no looking down on her. There was no shaming, nothing. She was a member of the deserving poor. People with shriveled limbs or something who couldn't function in an industrial society, they were the deserving poor. But they had zero tolerance for fraud. Zero. They would put people in jail. If somebody was pretending to be a beggar and could work, they would go to jail. And if you had 3 kids and you couldn't support them, but you had 3 kids because you didn't get married, and you had 2 or 3 different husbands, or you were just having fun, or you were drinking too much, or you were out in an opium den, too bad for you, lady. That's your choice. Those are the decisions you made. You're not you're the undeserving poor. What this guy said in this interview with Stefan was that it would have been inconceivable to Victorians to give charity to people who didn't deserve it. And it is inconceivable to us to not do it. It's inconceivable for modern Americans to say, no, we're not going to help that person because their decisions got them into that trouble. That's how far we've fallen from reality. And the point he's making is, look, a healthy society, growing society, a stable society helps the poor and the weak and the sick and the people that can't work. That's what we do. That's what makes us human. It's empathy, and it's compassion, and it's charity. All of these are cardinal virtues, not cardinal, cardinal virtues in mortal sense. But faking it and taking charity that you don't need, that you don't deserve, taking the sweat of somebody else's brow by subterfuge and deception is a cardinal sin. And most of the people who are getting handouts today don't deserve them in the way that the Victorians understood the term. And I think that's a profound insight. And so back to, Dinesh D'Souza's card analogy. If there's 100 Americans, if the entire population is 100 people, and 1 in 10 are disabled for whatever reason, they're too old, they're sick, they've got physical deformities, maybe they've got genuine mental problems, then easily 90 people can pull 10 people. Not only can we should, and we do, and we're happy to. And it's the right thing to do. But as people start gold bricking, and as people deciding I'd rather ride than pull, then you have 20 people in the cart and 80 pulling. And when you have 50 people in the cart and 50 pulling, which is where we are now because 50% of the population doesn't pay any income tax at all, then the people doing the pulling, seeing all the people in the back that don't deserve to be there, start saying, well, now I'm a chump if I pull. Now I'm a chump. It's the stupid play to do the right thing. Then you get 60 people in the back, 40 up front, and finally you get, I don't know what the number is, but it's just off the top of my head. The 40 people left won't go in the cart because they have a moral code, and even though they know everybody else is cheating, they won't cheat. They won't do it. They'll soldier on, and we're actually at this point now, I think, where most of us are like, going, we don't have to pay our taxes to this giant aneurysm that loses $50 billion completely without trace. We don't know where it went. We're going to keep working for this, not for it, because it doesn't deserve it anymore, not for the government. The government's broken the contract with the people. We're going to do it for ourselves. We're going to do it because we value hard work, and we're not going to cheat. I'd rather die than cheat. Comes a point, though, when there's 20 of us pulling 80, and the 20 of us or 30 of us pulling 70 or whatever the number is, somewhere in that ballpark, where the 20 of us pulling 80 freeloaders look at each other and say, you know what? It's not that we're going to get in the cart, because that is cheating. We're just going to go somewhere else. We're going to go get another cart. To hell with this. I'm not going to sweat and die and labor and break my bones so that these people can sit there and not only ride for free, but spit on us while they're doing it, mock us and throw rocks at us and tell us to go faster. So that's what happens. And these are the kind of civilizational things that have been occurring since human history began, and I think for the first time we can understand them. And if we understand them, we can at least fight them. When Augustus was watching Rome fall apart, he could see it. It was hundreds of years after Augustus died when it finally collapsed, but he could see the signs. He could see it, but he didn't know what to do about it because he didn't know what was causing it. All he had was symptoms. He didn't know what the disease was. If these theories, this RK theory and this biohistory theory are true, and they certainly look true to me, then we can understand what's causing it. And if we understand what's causing it, maybe we can do something about it. That's my hope. I'm going to fight him until I can't fight him anymore. And then we'll see what we can save. Hopefully we don't have to get to that point. Hey, we're nearing the recording limit because we're almost at 3 hours. So I'm going to shut this baby off. And so ends episode 105, which I think was a damn good episode, actually. I think it was one of our top 10% episodes. I liked it. Has a good time. Thank you very much for joining us. As always, appreciate your support. If you're a member, if you can be a member and you're not, certainly would like that too. It helps us keep the lights on here, and we're trying to go out and do good work as frugally as we can. And you can find that at billwhittle.com/become a member, or big orange button that says become a member. Anyway, good seeing all of you, and especially to my personal friends out there, Scott and Foghorn and the rest of you, Cheryl and everybody else. Until next time, which I hope will be next week, hopefully next Tuesday maybe. We may have to change the date. We'll get it sorted out. In any event, thanks as always for joining us. Thanks for your support. You be careful out there. Don't despair. The good guys are in this together, and you're not alone. That's the main thing. I'll see you next time.